defense are present. Ms. Richins is present as well. I have a couple of administrative issues to ask about. Mr. Bloodworth, give me a preview of the state's witnesses today.
Your Honor, beginning with the forensic accountant, Brooke Carrington, my sense is she takes most, if not all, of the day. But if we get on to additional witnesses, there is 3 witnesses related to insurance coverage that are lined up.
Okay, very good. With respect to Ms. Carrington, we'll need to have a plan for a 404B instruction or instructions. I'd like to do that in an efficient way, Ms. Nestor. Have you given any thought about that?
Well, I have, and my initial thought was to do just a continuing objection to everything, but the reality is there's definitely things she's going to testify to that we agree are appropriate for this trial. And there's a whole bunch of things she's going to testify to that we don't think belong in this trial. So my thought, what I was planning to do, is when she got into an area that we believe falls under our original motion in limine, and I would just stand up and say we object to 401, 403, 404B, and just make the record right then, no speaking objection, and then you can just rule, and I've made a contemporaneous objection at the time, and we don't have to stop and have arguments. I mean,
Do you have, I feel like we veered into defendant preserving her record for appeal, and that's different than my question, but we can start there and then go back to my question.
well, I mean,
The
my
403 issue, put that aside.
Okay.
I recognize that it's possible that Ms. Carrington's testimony would get to the point where defendant would want to make a 403 objection based not on unfair prejudice, but on cumulative evidence, wasting time, things like that. And you won't know that till you see it come in. So put that aside. I've already ruled on the unfair prejudice piece. I've already ruled on the 404B issue. I need to give the jury a contemporaneous instruction, though, rather than do it every 15, 20 minutes. I thought it might be better just to do it up front at some point. And it's how to do that in a way that's fair to both sides that I'm asking about.
Well, my concern about that would be that it would, if there's just a blanket instruction, they're not going to know which parts of her testimony that relates to.
Well, in the written jury instructions, I think we're going to have to tell them. We talked about this during the motions in limine hearing, that I think the 404B instruction will need to have some specificity about qualitatively this transaction or that transaction or this part of this transaction or this conduct in that transaction cannot be considered for, but can be considered for.
It's just that the expanse of what she's going to testify to is vast, right?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
She's going to talk about taxes. She's going to talk about business. She's going to talk about assets and liabilities. She's going to talk about...
yeah, but not all of that is 404B information.
That's exactly my point,
Right.
Which it makes it complicated. I mean, if you're recommending that we start with just an admonishment that some of her testimony will involve, I just don't know how you do it before we get to the topic. It's so broad. I don't know how you would even word it. I mean, I'll happily sit down and try to work with the court and the state and try to come up with a broad admonishment for the beginning. I just don't know it's going to have much effect because she's going to be all over the place.
Well,
And there is a lot of what she's going to testify to that we're like, fine. I mean, it goes to motive. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be unreasonable. I recognize their theory. I disagree with it, but I recognize it. And if they're trying to establish, her financial condition at the time of death, I think that's going to come in. I'm not unrealistic about that. But I think she's going to go pretty far beyond that, right? So at that point, I feel like I'm going to need I'm going to want a contemporaneous objection, and I may want the court, because as you ruled, I think wisely, in the motion in limine hearing, a lot of this you can't tell till you hear it as it comes in, because it may have a foundation and it may not. And if it doesn't, I may want to be heard at that time and say, look, we shouldn't even go into any of this because they haven't established how it's linked to motive. They haven't established how it's linked to relevance to this case because of the temporal distance, because it's so far removed from any argument of motive. And at that point, we may need to have a quick break and just talk about it. But I'm going to try to, not be unrealistic about what I expect you will allow in, but I also want the ability to object when I think she's gone way past what we're doing.
Okay. Can we have an agreement that there will be no speaking objection?
Yes, I wasn't planning on doing that anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
That may be the best we can do for now, Mr. Bloodworth. Any other suggestions?
And I mean, I would say 4143444B, but I won't elaborate.
That's fine.
I've got to at least put some ground on the record.
Yeah, and just don't say the same 3 rules every time unless you mean it.
Okay.
Mr. Bloodworth, anything further on this? The hope was to try and not unnecessarily slow down the presentation of evidence, but it just may not be possible to do what I am suggesting.
Your Honor, I think it's possible. It's interesting. I don't know. I think the defense, by objecting all along, may draw attention to the amount of 404B evidence.
Well, they're allowed to make that choice, though.
So it seems to me if that's their choice, let's roll with it.
All right, we'll take it. We'll do it in real time. If we need to take a break and have a more fulsome conversation, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Mr. Bloodworth, anything before we invite the jury?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
Okay. Tasia, please.
I filled it out last time, sure.
Have a seat as you come in, please.
Did it last time.
Okay, have a seat. Folks, a quick scheduling note. Tomorrow morning, we'll begin at 9:30. On Friday, no trial this week. So to the extent you want to make plans for tomorrow morning or for Friday, you have a little bit of unexpected time. All right, we will proceed with additional witnesses in the state's case in chief. Mr. Bloodworth.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Brooke Carrington.
Ms. Carrington, if you'd step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury? Yes. Thank you. Have a seat.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
What, ma'am, is your name?
Brooke Carrington.
Is that spelled Karrington?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I am a forensic accountant.
What is a forensic accountant?
Well, it is based on accounting, but it takes it some extra steps further than that. I look for a lot of the source of funds, the disposition of funds, what the transactions really mean, more than just the balancing of transactions and getting to a black and white number at the bottom. I try to understand more of the landscape and more of why things make sense and why they don't in the financial documentation that I look at.
More of a narrative?
Yes.
What, ma'am, is your education and training in forensic accounting?
I've been at this for 38 years, and I have a bachelor's in English, I have an MBA, and I have several certifications that support that.
Who's your employer?
I have a firm. It's a small firm. We're based in Salt Lake City.
Do you teach or present as it relates to forensic accounting?
Yes, I've presented many times over the years to Masters of Accounting students, mostly quite often at the business school at the University of Utah, and I am the adjunct professor of the Fraud Examination and Forensic Accounting course at the University of Utah's Business School.
Did you also have a hand in developing the curriculum for that course?
I did. I created it from scratch. I got no help.
You had two hands.
Two hands.
Ma'am, have you testified as an expert before?
Yes, I have.
Have you testified in state cases?
State cases, yes.
Federal cases?
Federal cases, yes.
Have you testified on behalf of both plaintiffs and plaintiffs and defendants?
That's correct, yes.
And both the state and the defense?
Yes.
About how many times?
Hundreds. I don't know how many.
When did you begin testifying?
I think the first time I testified for real was probably in 1991 or two, something like that.
And consistently since then?
Yeah, fairly consistently, yes.
Did the state engage you to forensically examine Kouri Richins' finances and related business practices leading up to and shortly after Eric Richins' death?
Yes.
And to value Eric Richins' estate at the time of his death?
Yes, that's right.
Did the state put any restrictions whatsoever on the scope of your forensic examination?
None.
Did the state restrict the time frame?
No.
Did the state restrict the types of transactions?
No.
The types of loans involved?
No.
Any restrictions at all?
No.
Did the state engage you on May the 31st, 2023?
Yes.
Is Summit County paying you for your time?
Yes, they are.
Are they paying you at your customary rate?
Yes, that's right.
Prior to the state engaging you, did you perform forensic accounting work for the estate of Eric Richins?
Yes, I did.
What accounting work did you perform for the estate of Eric Richins?
As I recall, most of the focus at that time was the use by Kouri Richins of the estates, the family money, and particularly the home equity line of credit that she had taken out against the home where the family lived.
Did there come a time when you stopped working for the estate of Eric Richins?
Yes.
When was that?
Well, I began working for them when Kouri Richins had filed a lawsuit against Katie Benson as the trustee of Eric's estate. And so that was the very end of April into May of 2022. And then I worked throughout that summer. And then at some point, the estate got new attorneys. And I had a Zoom call, maybe 2, with them to kind of get them up to speed. And then after that, I didn't have a role in the case. I recall maybe they asked me for some follow-up to clarify some of the work that I'd already done. So it's really hard for me to determine exactly when I stopped working, but by the fall of 2022, I was done. I did have some additional kind of follow-up stuff. It's kind of a cloudy answer, but that's my best guess.
Did the estate of Eric Richins pay you approximately $14,000 for your services?
Yes.
After they paid you, did you have any further interaction with the estate of Eric Richins?
No.
Ma'am, what documents did you study to conduct your forensic analysis related to this case?
I've reviewed probably hundreds of thousands of documents, and their deeds of properties, the loan agreements for the loans on those properties, loan agreements for a set of payday loans that Kouri Richins had, the UCC filings that are filed with the state of Utah associated with many of those loans, bank account statements for 27 accounts, and those include the family account that Eric Richins and Kouri Richins shared, from which they paid their household expenses, Eric's business accounts, Kouri Richins' business accounts, her personal accounts, checking accounts at America First Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union, credit card accounts, the home equity line of credit account. I also reviewed, were we just talking documents?
Yeah, let's continue with documents. Did you
Okay.
review any emails?
Tons of emails for many different purposes. I reviewed insurance policies and insurance payout documents, the estate planning documents like the will, the trust, the premarital agreement, the buy-sell agreement that Eric Richins and his business partner had for their business. I've reviewed the real estate purchase contracts, the REPCs, for most or all of the properties, specifically the 12 or 13 on the big Midway house.
Okay. Did you speak with anybody? Did you speak with anyone as part of your analysis?
I did.
Who did you speak with, or what types of people did you speak with?
Okay, so I interviewed a number of people. Interviewed the CPA who had done tax accounting work for the Richins. I interviewed the realtor, Mike Malmrose. I interviewed the insurance companies. I interviewed bank representatives. I interviewed lenders. I interviewed the prior owner of the big Midway house, the current owners of the Midway house, the building department of Wasatch County, that's the permitting entity for the big Midway house.
Did
I feel
you-
like I'm missing somebody, but
Did you interview any representatives from insurance companies?
yes, I did.
Your Honor, can we approach for just a moment?
What, ma'am, is your methodology or process for forensically examining someone's finances?
My process usually begins with the bank account statements, because though that tells a lot about a business or a person, and helps me understand the landscape of things, and helps create a narrative, because those are the things where it tells me the source of funds, how much it is, how often it comes in, how it's used. And you think about someone who has young kids at home, their expenses are going to look very different than people who are later on in their life. And so it describes a lot. And then also what's left over at the end of the month, and what things look like over time. And that helps me understand then, I get to know an account specifically, and I get to know what's typical in that account. And then therefore it helps me understand what is atypical, so what's not typical. And it also helps me understand the different points along a chronology about what happened when, and that is also very informative.
Does that inform the narrative that you referenced?
Yes, it does.
Let's please now step through how you applied your methodology in this case, okay?
Okay.
Did you apply your methodology in this case by first analyzing Kouri Richins' bank accounts?
That was my beginning point, yes.
What bank accounts did she have?
She had her business account for K. Richins Realty, and that's at America First Credit Union. And we refer to the the bank account number by the last four digits, just for brevity, 6577. And then she had a personal checking account at America First Credit Union that's technically a joint checking account. It was opened about the time that Eric and Kouri Richins got married. Over time, I can't see any indication that Eric ever even used that account. So that's what I refer to as Kouri's personal account, 5244. Her Navy Federal Credit Union account, there's just there's a line of credit there and a checking account. The checking account especially is one that becomes important. The family account at America First Credit Union, that's where the household expenses were paid. It's a joint account. 2204 is that one. And then I know you asked me about Kouri's accounts, but I also looked at Eric's business accounts, 7664, and then he also had a personal account.
Let's go back to Kouri Richins' accounts.
Okay.
You mentioned business accounts. To analyze her business accounts, did you first have to understand her business?
Yes, that's helpful.
Scott, can I get 4-4, please? Can you see 4-4? I'm sorry, I'm locked out here.
Yes, I can.
It requires a password, Your Honor.
No problem.
Scott, can you scroll through that, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the business registration that K. Richins Realty filed with the state of Utah. And this was returned in response to a subpoena that the prosecution sent to the state.
Your Honor, the state moves 4-4 into evidence.
No objection.
States 4-4 is admitted.
Your Honor, can the court publish it, please?
There you go.
Okay, ma'am. What, beginning with the header, does this document tell us?
It tells us the registration number, which is a number the state gives it. The business name is K. Richins Realty, LLC. It's a limited liability company. It was registered April 26th of 2019.
Page 2, Scott. What, ma'am, does this page tell us?
Well, it repeats the name of the business, K. Richins Realty. Article 2 shows that it's in the business of selling and buying real estate.
Did you investigate kind of what part of the selling and buying of real estate business Kouri Richins was involved in?
Yes.
What part?
Well, she's a licensed realtor, but mostly she's in the business of buying and selling real estate for the purpose of fixing and flipping it. So buying a home, remodeling it, rehabbing it, and selling it.
If you could look down at Article 3, what information does this provide?
This shows who the registered agent is, and that is Kouri Richins, and the 282 Willow Court in Camas is the family home.
Did you investigate whether K. Richins Realty used any additional business addresses?
Yes.
Did she?
Yes.
Do you know that address?
Yes, it's a P.O. Box in Camas, P.O. Box 759 in Camas.
Page 3, please, Scott. What does Article 4 tell us?
Article 4 is the section where the members of that company are listed, and this lists Eric Richins at the family home.
Can we go back down, Scott? Next page, please. What, ma'am, does this tell us?
So this is, as it states, the summary of the online changes. It's very typical for companies when ownership changes or the address changes that they can go into the portal and change things. So this shows that 4 days later, the previous member was changed to be Kouri Richins, removing Eric Richins.
So am I right then that the business was registered on April the 26th and then in Eric Richins' name, and then 4 days later the member was changed to Kouri Richins?
That's right.
Going forward, did the member remain Kouri Richins?
That's correct. I've checked it periodically and there have been no changes.
Thanks, Scott. Ma'am, what in terms of financing and accounting is an alter ego?
An alter ego is where there are a couple of businesses or a business and a person that are so related that they're indistinguishable. And that can be the commingling of funds, or one relies so heavily on the other for capitalization. There's such a sameness that there's no distinguishing one from the other.
Did you analyze the relationship between Kouri Richins and K. Richins Realty to determine whether there are any indicators that they are alter egos of each other?
I did.
Are there any indicators?
There are many, yes.
And what are they?
The use of funds, the transfer of funds between the business and the person assist each other. There is a sameness, the same addresses are used, the same accounts are used. The business account is primarily for business, but there are many personal expenses that do appear there. And so, and the capitalization for the business squarely comes from the acts of Kouri Richins.
When analyzing Kouri Richins' business and personal accounts, what first struck you?
Well, I usually take a first pass and just to try and absorb things. And when I got to October of 2021, there are many transactions that didn't clear the bank. Either they didn't clear the bank without a fee. Some of them were overdrafted and paid by the bank, and some were just returned non-sufficient funds. Most of us know that as NSF. And the account was perpetually in the hole. Even though there was money coming in, it was going out at a very exhaustive pace. And then
let me stop you there. We'll unpack this bit by bit.
Okay.
Scott, can I get 5-106 Delta, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Can't see it. My apologies.
Yes, I do.
Did you prepare this document?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
This is drawn directly from the K. Richins Realty account 6577 at America First Credit Union.
State moves to admit 5-106 Delta.
No objection.
States 5-106 Delta is admitted.
Can the court publish it, please?
Done.
Okay, let's zoom in on this. What generally does this exhibit depict?
So this is just the overdraft and non-sufficient funds transactions for each of these months, just in that one account. And so I started in January of 2021, and this follows through March of 2022.
Does this provide us, or does this tell us that for that 15-month period there were 236 overdraft or non-sufficient fund transactions from that single account?
That's correct. So
And that the amount of transactions that tried to pass but didn't was $360,000?
that's right.
And that as a result of that, this account was assessed $5,600 in fees?
That's correct.
Does this exhibit provide you as a forensic accountant any information regarding trends?
Yes. As I mentioned before, I try to understand the chronology of things, and so understand kind of what is typical for an account. So when things change, I can understand that a little bit more, or at least seek to find an understanding of it. So if you go down the number of transactions column, what I did is just count up the number of transactions in a particular month, and you can see that for most of the year 2021, you know, it's minimal, de minimis, not really that big of a deal, relatively speaking. And then in October through the end of March, it's a drastic increase in funds that did not clear the bank, or transactions that didn't clear the bank without a fee. And then if you go over to the amount column, that represents the amount. I just added up the transactions, the value of each transaction in each of those months. So in November and December, those are separate buckets of transactions that she tried to pay without a fee, and that didn't happen. So $91,000 in each of those months.
So let me just pick an example. December. Does this show that in December she had 77 overdraft or non-sufficient fund transactions totaling $91,000?
That's what that says, yes.
That costs $2,000 in fees.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that upward trend began in October and continued through March.
That is correct.
Did you trace these overdraft and non-sufficient fund transactions?
I did.
What did she use the money for?
A lot of them were debt payments or expenses that she either paid or attempted to pay to rehab vendors, like contractors and subs and trades for her properties.
Did she also try to pay herself?
Yes, she did.
Scott, can I get 5-109 Delta, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
This also drew from that same account at America First, the Kouri Richins Realty account 6577, and the personal account 5244 in some instances, and then also that Navy Federal Credit Union checking account for Kouri Richins.
The state moves to admit 5-109 Delta.
No objection.
5-109D is admitted.
Okay, can we go in, Scott, please zoom on that, that kind of left-hand block. Perfect. What, ma'am, does this depict?
They are pairs, and so on the left hand, these are the checks that Kouri Richins wrote from her Navy Federal Credit Union account to herself and deposited them into the America First Credit Union accounts, and they were returned unpaid. They bounced.
So does this show that Kouri Richins wrote approximately $60,000 in checks to herself beginning in August of 2021 through May of 2022 that bounced?
That's correct.
And she wrote them from a checking account that had a balance of either that had a balance that ranged between -$51 and $29.
That's right.
So taking the December 23rd, 2021 line as an example, does this show that on December the 23rd, Kouri Richins wrote a check from her Navy Federal account for $10,000, deposited that in her America First Credit Union account at a time that she was $51 in the hole on her Navy account?
That's correct. She wrote two of those checks, the one for $10,000 and then the next one for $4,000.
Got it. Then there was another $10,000 the next day, right?
That's right.
Thanks, Scott.
It's frozen up.
No problem. Let's fix it. One moment, please. Scott, if you'd unplug and plug back in. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, ma'am, you mentioned how in analyzing the non-sufficient and overdraft fund transactions, that beginning in October there was an increase in the number of overdraft and NSF transactions. Did that cause you to then drill down into the October through March bank statements?
I did, yes.
Scott, can I please get 5-29 Delta? Echo. Foxtrot. Golf. Hotel. Ma'am, do you recognize Exhibit 5-29D through H?
Yes, I do.
Generally, what are they?
They are the America First Credit Union bank account statements for the Kouri Richins Realty account 6577 from October 21 to February 22 that America First Credit Union responded pursuant to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves Exhibits 529D through H into evidence.
No objection.
5-29D through H are admitted.
Scott, can we bring up, please, 529D to publish? Ma'am, for those of us whose spouses handle the banking, what are we looking at?
This is a bank account statement.
What I'd like to do is, well, did you analyze this bank account statements and the others to, or did you analyze them?
Yes, I did.
If agreeable, can you maybe grab, there's a hand mic up there.
That's okay. If you promise to stay tethered to the podium and turn your lav off, this will work.
I just turned it off, Your
There
Honor.
you go.
Thanks, Judge.
Ms. Carrington, what I'd like you to do, please, is walk the jury through how you analyze this bank statement. Oh, we have a pointer.
Moses and I don't really agree.
And please ask Scott to blow it up, highlight it.
Okay. Does this work? Scott, would you please, let's start with the header. I don't know. Okay, so this is the header that shows. Scott, am I doing this right? Okay, this is the header. So this will show the owner of the account. This is Kouri Richins Realty LLC. This is that P.O. Box 759 in Camas that we talked about. And then this is the account statement for October 31st of 2021. Here's the account number 6577. And then this section below is the summary account, the summary of the account. So there's a share savings that is reported on this bank account statement along with the checking account. And it shows at the end of the month, these two accounts were in the negative $1,684.75. So this is that same month that we've just been talking about. And so then I would start to look at the transactions. So Scott, can we do the body, please? Maybe just the checking is fine. Okay, so what happens here is we have the posted date. The effective date is like the date of that the transaction came through, and then the posted date is when it is posted to the account. So you can see in the body here under the description, some of them are very descriptive, and you can tell who the payee is. That's the entity who receives the money on this transaction. Some do not. They say bank-to-bank transfer, and we'll go back to that in a little bit. And then you go over here to the transaction amount. I'm just going to skip it. Excuse me. You go here to the transaction amount, and these are negatives, meaning they're paid out of the account. And if they do not have a negative here, that's a deposit into the account. And then on the far right is the running total balance of the account. Sorry.
I have it.
Did you? Oh, thank you. Okay, Scott, can we go to the next page, please? So, I'm sorry. Can we back up a little bit? Back to the first page, transactions. Sorry. Okay, so this part here, down here, these automatic withdrawals. Chemical Bank is the payment on a HELOC. It's usually more than $100, but that's what that is. And then the Delta Bridge, Blue Bridge, Fairmont, and Zahava are going to become familiar names. Those four I could see posting on October 1st. And then, Scott, could we please go to the second page? And then you can see that those, we'll get to those in a second. She also has Boomerang ×3 and Fund Fi. And so the Boomerang ones we can describe in a minute are property payments that are monthly. And this Fund Fi is $3,107 that she obligated to pay every single week. Can we go down to the bottom, please? Okay, stop. A little bit up, please. Okay, right there is good. Okay, so remember those names from before. We can get to here. Remember these four names, Delta Bridge, Blue Bridge, Fairmont, and Zahava. Those were paid on October 1st. They're also paid on October 4th, down here on October 5th, and then on October 6th. These are four payday lenders. They're accounts receivable loans where she's committed to pay every single day these amounts over here. So $2,100 a day plus the other ones that we've noted. And so.
Sure. Are you also, well, scroll down and if you could also, what if anything are you seeing about, I got to be tethered. What if anything are you seeing about the balance history as you're looking at this?
So I'm looking here. Let's see if I can get this to go over to the running total over here on the side. You can see at the top of where we're looking here, she gets down to about $2,600 in the account. And then here comes $16,800 into the account, bumps it back up. And then there's those daily payments that she has to pay. And then she gets another bump of $18,900. And then down here at the bottom, you see this $39,000 coming in. That's a deposit from Merchant Capital. So those are representing incoming funds to the account. And so that caused me to look at where those are coming from, especially these that say just the bank-to-bank transfer up here. I'm sorry, this is not working. This bank-to-bank transfer here, this bank-to-bank transfer here. So where did those come from? And so that caused me then to look at the UCC filings.
Scott, can you go to the next page, please? Does that trend of automatic withdrawals to service debt just continue throughout the month of October?
Yes, it did. You can see, again, the same devices, and I don't agree. I'm so sorry. Okay, you can see the same payments here. Then she's added a few. Here's the Advantage platform is a new one. And then you go down here, FundFi Merchant is a new one. Greengrass Capital is one that she's been paying for a while, and this one will be significant. Kind of put a pin in this one, $5,438. So she's got all these others that are daily payments. FundFi and Greengrass Capital are weekly payments. And so what I started to do was calculate how much were these debt payments and who were these lenders, what are these loans. And so she's obligated herself on these, the consistent for of $2,100 every day. So that's about $10,000 a week. And then she adds the FundFi for $3,100 and the Greengrass for $5,438. And that's every single week she has to come up with that money just to stay current and avoid default, because the default clauses on all of these, they're already starting at high interest rates. But if they go into default, the interest rate almost doubles.
And then, ma'am, what else as we go through? We can just go down maybe, Scott, to the end of the statement. Just scroll through so we can look at the balance history. What is the balance history, if anything, telling you?
Well, the balance history fluctuates greatly, right? And it hovers into the low figures, and then it goes into the negative. And then this is what I'm talking about, where you see here, like on, starting on about October 13th, these start to be overdrawn, and they were paid initially. And then you look over here at the account balance, it starts to go into the negative. And so then that, if you, let's go to the next page. Just maybe start at the top. And so then you can see here that these were, the top ones were returned. They incurred a fee. She's got a little bit of money coming in, but not much. And then can we scroll down, please? Then this just really caught my eye, that something obviously was going on at this time. Here she's trying to pay for business expenses, for debt payments, a couple of personal expenses, and these are all being returned. And she's $6,000 in the hole at the end of this page. Could we go to the next page, please? She has a new deposit from a new lender, One Main Financial, on October 20th for $31,680, and then she used that money. As you can see, you just pay attention to the balance on the right-hand side. She used that to pay debt, and then you can also see here on the 20th, she's got CashNet USA, which is a new one. Can we scroll down a little bit more, please? Oh, let's stop here. Right here on October 22nd, this bank-to-bank transfer, she's got $77,000 that comes in here. This is where she's sold one of her properties. So in addition to selling her properties, and she's got the accounts receivable loans, the payday loans, she has money coming in, but then I started to look at the velocity, how quickly, how long did that money last? And so if we keep scrolling down, you can see, and can we continue, please? Next page. She pays She pays for some rehab expenses for painters and things like that. She's managing the business using some of her revenues from her sales of properties, but then she's also incurring more and more debt because it's not enough. And you can see here on October 27th, she's got a new one for QSF Capital. And this payment, yeah, so there's QFS Capital. This lender gives her the income in stages. And then you see down, Scott, can you highlight October 27th where QFS Capital, down, that one, please? The $1,689.75. And that's a payment that she needs to pay every day in order to stay current on that. So that's on top of the other loans that she already has to pay. You can see down on the 28th, the very bottom line of this screen, on October 28th, you can see another payment right there for QFS Capital of $1,689.75. And so then back to my process, I start to look at this and try to understand where this money's coming from, who these lenders are, where the money's going to, and what's the end game.
Perfect. Let me take.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, that was the October statement, correct?
Excuse me, yes.
My fault.
Fine.
We're not going to go through November, December, January, February, but let me ask you, do those months present the same as October?
Yeah, in the fundamental nature, yes.
And by fundamental nature, do you show that, or do you mean that she had similar debt service throughout that time period?
Similar, yes. I mean, there are changes, of course, but yes, the same fluctuations in the bank account, the same adding new lenders consistently, and using a lot of the new money to pay for debt.
Do those other statements present the same low balance history?
Yes.
Does she deplete, whenever she receives funds into the account, does she deplete them with similar velocity?
Object to leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
So you just said that analyzing this statement caused you to caused you to next analyze her debt. Is that right?
That's right.
Let's turn there, please. Scott, can I get 5-13 Delta? And I think there are 4 pages. If you could scroll through them, please. 5-113. Ma'am, do you recognize that?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you review to prepare it?
So this was a combination of the bank account statements, the loan documents for the accounts receivable payday loans, the credit card accounts, her lines of credit at different banks, and the home equity line of credit.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-113 Delta.
No objection.
5-113D is admitted.
Can we please publish the first page? Ma'am, what does this depict?
So in that same time period as before, starting in January of 2021 through March of 2022,
the total debt she owed on real properties, the credit accounts, the credit cards and her lines of credit, and the account receivable loans, the payday loans that we've talked about.
Does this show that on March of 2022, she owed $7.5 million and was paying approximately $80,000 a month towards that debt?
That is what that shows, yes.
Scott, can we split screen, please, Delta with Foxtrot?
Which Foxtrot?
113? 113? Oh.
113F
Can we
hasn't been
split them
offered
out, or
yet.
are they two?
Mr. Bloodworth, 113F hasn't been offered yet.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, they were a package. They're marked
Oh.
as one.
Was that D or 113? Can we have a more clear record on
Sure.
that? 113. I admitted 113D. Ms. Nestor
I've-
didn't object.
I've confused the record.
Okay,
Let me try again.
please.
Scott, can I get the first page split with the third page?
Understood.
Sorry. Ma'am, what does this depict?
So this is just a graphic depiction, a line graph that uses the information from the chart. And
Go ahead.
sorry. The orange line along the bottom is the total debt paid, and then the blue line above is the total debt owed. And this is for, again, all the real estate, all the lines of credit, credit cards, and the payday loans.
Does this exhibit show that between January 21 and March of 22, her debt was generally increasing except for a dip between, call it, August and February?
That's correct.
And that whole time, the amount she was paying to service that debt remained generally the same except for a blip in April of 2021?
That's right.
Scott, can I get page 2 of this exhibit, please? And we can take down page 3. Ma'am, what does this depict?
This is that same concept. I just wondered if we might want to discuss this without the real estate. So this is just the loans, the lines of credit, the credit cards, payday loans, and So I've just taken out the loans on the properties.
So does this, for example, show that in March of 22, she owed $800,000 in non-real estate debt?
That's what this shows, yes.
And she was also that month paid about $80,000 to service the debt,
That's right.
which is about the same $80,000 she was paying to service everything.
It is the same. Well, and for most of her real estate loans were balloons. So her notes were balloons, like a 6 month. She'd borrow here, and they did not require monthly payment. Most of them did not require monthly payments, and so that's why you'd see the same numbers there.
Scott, can we split that with page 4, please? Is this again then the graph of what's on the left-hand side?
That's right. So the same concept, just without the loans on the real estate.
The total debt owed seems to flatline about October 2021.
Yes, it pretty much does, yeah.
Why?
There are a lot of reasons why. I don't know all of them. It looks to me like she's just exhausted her funding sources, and there are very few new funding sources that kind of come in after that first period. You know, talked a lot about some of the new ones. Kind of after that, there weren't a lot of new ones. And so that's the explanation I believe is correct.
Thank you, Scott. Does understanding Kouri Richins' debt narrative begin with any particular loan?
Yes.
What loan?
When she started her business, the home equity line of credit that was taken out in March of 2019.
What is a home equity line of credit?
So it is a loan, but the funds are held and they're available for a borrower to draw from as needed. So it could sit there just as an open line of credit and not be used. And it's based on whatever equity that someone has in their home.
And was the home involved the home that she and Eric Richins and their children lived in?
Yes, it did.
Scott, can I get 6-1, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this agreement?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is the warranty deed from November of 2012 in which Eric Richins took ownership of the property that he bought from Clint and Katie Benson. This is the Willow Court home.
Your Honor, the state moves 6-1 into evidence.
No objection.
State 6-1 is admitted.
Scott, if you could zoom in on kind of the top half. Ma'am, what information does this provide?
So the warranty deed is the transfer of ownership. And so shows that Clint and Katie Benson previously owned the property, and Eric Richins is the new owner of the property. Lot D11 Wild Willow subdivision is the part of the legal description. And then finally, there is the date of November 9th, 2012.
Was this the warranty deed in place on the home at the time the HELOC was taken out?
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. Can you please bring up 5-4?
Your Honor, we would, at this point, lodge a 404B objection to this document and all the testimony that flows from it.
Would you approach, please? the witness can see 5-4.
State moves to admit 5-4.
Any objection, Ms. Nestor?
Just same objection, but I understand what was said at the bench.
Okay. States 5-4 is admitted. I'll publish it now.
Scott, if you could zoom in, please, on that top third. Yep. Ma'am, what is this?
This is the HELOC, the home equity line of credit. This is the agreement that kind of outlines the terms of the loan.
And who does it identify as the borrower?
Eric Richins.
And what does it identify as the credit limit on the loan?
$250,000.
Scott, if you can scroll down, please, to the first signature. Actually, it may be the only signature. Can you zoom in on the signature, please? Ma'am, who does this show signed as the borrower?
The borrower was Eric Richins, but signed by Kouri Richins as attorney in fact.
And she signed as attorney in fact for Eric Richins on March the 19th, 2019?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott, please. 5-89 Delta. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
I used the HELOC statements from TCF Bank / Huntington Bank.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-89 Delta.
No objection.
5-89D is admitted.
Ma'am, what does this depict?
So along the top are the months, every other month, but each bar represents a month, and the negative numbers indicate the balance of the loan as of that month. So, for example, on March 1st, March of 2019, there was a draw of $60,000 shortly after the loan was approved. And so that stayed at that balance for a few months. And then following that, every month I've just taken the balance of the account and depicted it in a bar.
And the bars go downward because this is a negative number. It's the amount owed?
That's right. And so I've got like on the left-hand side, those are negative numbers. And you can see the negative $250,000. That's the limit, the credit limit of this loan. And so you can see relative to the credit limit where the balance was in any given month.
What did you determine was the balance on the HELOC at the time of Eric Richins' death?
At the time of his death, it was over its limit, $254,000.
Did you analyze the payments made towards this balance?
Yes.
You mentioned the 60 was a draw. So what did your analysis show regarding payments?
With the exception of one, the payments were interest-only payments, so the minimum payment. And then you can see in October of 2020, there's a rise in the balance. There was a $50,000 payment made in October 2020. And so that's why the balance is different there. And then by the June and July of 2021, it was at its balance or exceeding.
So am I right then that but for the one $50,000 payment in October 2020, the only payments were minimum monthly interest payments?
That's correct.
Were you able to trace the HELOC draws to see where the money went?
Yes.
What did you determine?
They were by and large for rehab expenses related to Kouri Richins projects.
Let me back up half a step. When you analyze the payment history, what were the source of the payment? What was the source of the payments?
The source of the payments that made those interest-only payments and the $50,000, those were from the K. Richins Realty accounts and sometimes from the Kouri's personal checking 5244 from America First.
So am I right then that the money was drawn from the HELOC to support Kouri Richins' business, and the payments were made from Kouri Richins to the HELOC?
That's correct.
Any transaction history involving Eric Richins?
Not that I could see. I've looked at every transaction available. I couldn't see any.
Thank you, Scott. Can I get 5-6, please?
Sorry, Scott. Let me work on that. Scott, if you would briefly disconnect and reconnect so I can see your connection again. Thank you, sir. And there you go, Mr. Bloodworth.
Scott, can you scroll through that, please?
Would you scroll through this one more time for me, Scott?
Hey, can you stop there for just a minute?
One more page. Okay. I now understand. Go ahead.
Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the original draw of $60,000, a copy of that. And this was from TCF National Bank / Huntington Bank in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-6.
No objection.
5-6 is admitted.
Scott, if you could zoom in on the check. Ma'am, who's the check made out to?
It's payable to Eric Richins.
And do you know why?
Object to speculation.
So you lay a little foundation.
Ms. Carrington, who was the home equity line of credit? Who was the borrower for the home equity line of credit?
Eric Richins.
Is it typical for the borrower to be the named payee on draws of an account?
Yes.
Did you trace where this $60,000 went?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott, can I get 5-7?
Honor, at this point, I renew my 404B objection.
Would you folks approach for a second? Forgive me, Mr. Bloodworth, did you move to admit 5-7?
I did not. I do so now.
Okay. Any additional objection, Ms. Nestor?
Not other than what I've already covered, Your Honor.
Okay. 5-7 is admitted. There you go.
Ms. Carrington, what are we looking at?
This is the bank account statement from America First Credit Union for Kouri Richins. This is that personal checking account 5244 for April of 2019, which would have covered the March of 2019 transactions.
And did you trace that 60,000 draw that we just looked at into this account?
I did.
Can you please show us where it lands in this account?
Yes, I think it's the second. If you can see on March 29th, there's a deposit of $60,000 into the account.
Did you then trace the funds from that account?
I did.
Where did the funds go?
Basically for rehab expenses and debt payments. Well, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Scott, can I get 6-23D, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
I used the loan documents for the different properties, the deeds, the warranty deeds and trust deeds for the properties, the bank account statements for K. Richins Realty and Kouri Richins. I think that's it.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 6-23 Delta.
just the one page, right?
It is.
Okay.
No objection.
6-23 Delta is admitted.
Ms. Carrington, what does this depict?
This is what I've called a purchase timeline, and it depicts the purchase of the properties in these years by K. Richins Realty and Kouri Richins.
What trend information, if any, does this depiction provide?
Well, the numbers of, there are a couple of things. The numbers of projects from 1 in 2019 to 5 in 2020 to 15 in 2021, and then finally the one large project in 2022. And then also the aggregate amount. So this is based on the purchase price. So she purchased one for $215,000 in 2019, and then when you get to 21, it's $6.7 million for all of those projects.
What does your teaching and training tell you about, if anything, about rapid growth in a business?
I look at a lot of businesses, and it doesn't matter what kind of industry or what kind of business or what kind of solvency they have. Managing growth is really challenging, and managing this kind of exponential growth is challenging for any kind of a business. And so this depicts that, I mean, you don't really need to know much else, but to see a growth from 5 projects to 15 from one year to the next, or 2.2 to 6.7 in 1 year, that presents a challenge for anybody.
Did you analyze each of the purchases depicted here?
Yes, I did.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 6-24 Delta, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
A lot of those same documents, a lot of the deeds, the warranty deeds, trust deeds. The trust deeds show or reflected of the loan. So all the loan documents, the primary lender, all the second, third, and fourth lender, position lenders that I call rehab lenders. The settlement statements for the purchase, the settlement statements for the sale, and then what the rehab expenses were. And for that, I've used what Kouri Richins reported to her tax preparer, and then I did an analysis of every transaction in her accounts to understand what the expenses
We'll
were.
get there in a minute. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to admit it first.
Sorry.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 6-24 Delta.
No objection.
6-24D is admitted.
Scott, can you show that in split screen 2 pages?
Mr. Bloodworth, for me personally, will you identify a spot where we can take a restroom break?
Yes, Your Honor. I got it planned out right after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Do each of these columns, and we're going to drill down in some here in a minute, but do each of these columns vertically depict one of those transactions, one of those
Yeah.
property transactions?
Yes, each column is one property.
Scott, let's zoom in on the far left column and the first property. Can you please explain to the jury what that far left column, purchase, sale, rehab expenses, depicts?
Yes. So at the top, it's the 550 house. The address is 550 and 550, and it's in Heber. So it's I call it the 550 house. It was $215,000 to purchase.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Let me stop you. I mean, interrupt. I'm one column to the left.
Oh, sorry. Okay. The first section is the purchase. So that's the purchase, what she borrowed to buy it, and there were other funds that she borrowed, and then the closing costs. And so the equity in the property at the time of the purchase.
Okay. And then what's the next column? The next section, the sales section?
That's so when she sold it, what was the sales price? She had to repay those borrowed funds. If I knew the closing costs, I've included them. If I haven't, if I wasn't sure I had the final settlement statement, I didn't include it. And then I get what the net proceeds were at the time of the sale. So that would have been the amount that landed in her bank account.
Okay. And then the bottom, rehab expenses section. What is that and how did you calculate it?
So the rehab expenses, as I said, she reported some to her tax preparer, her CPA, and most of the times I went back to her bank account and I looked at her memo notations about which project a specific expense was for. They're not all labeled.
Let me stop you there.
Okay.
Why did you not use the expenses that she gave to her tax CPA?
They were not correct.
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor, can we approach?
Yep. Please proceed.
Okay, ma'am, you said you did not use expense reporting to the tax accountants because they were inaccurate. How then did you determine the rehab expenses?
So I went through every transaction in that Kouri Richins Realty 6577 account. And I looked at the check copies and I looked at the notations. Sometimes the transactions had a notation or a payee in the body of the statement. So I took those, and quite often, Kouri Richins would write on a check, this is for Mill Creek, or this is for Centerville, or this is for Sandy. And so then I've taken those at face value, and it's a sorting exercise. So that's how I arrived at this number.
Were you able to allocate all rehab expenses to particular projects?
I was not.
So if it's shown in the accounting for one particular project, you can definitely trace it to that project.
Based on Kouri Richins' notations, yes.
And by using the approach of not allocating expenses unless you were certain, is that a conservative approach to accounting?
Back to leading.
Let's let him finish the question, and then I'll rule on it. Would you state it again for me, sir?
By not allocating expenses to a particular project unless you could trace them to that project, is that a conservative accounting approach?
It is.
Overruled.
Does it underestimate the expenses for one particular project?
It does. For example, in 2021, there's $400,000 of expenses that I can tell go to trades or vendors, her subs, for projects, but I can't tell what project they're for. So there's $400,000 in 2021.
So that $400,000 doesn't even appear on this entire chart.
That's right.
But you know they were expenses towards rehab.
They were the same payees, so yes.
You also mentioned that you didn't include closing costs at sale unless you were certain of them.
Right, because there are different versions, different draft versions of a settlement statement, and they change as the title company's trying to get to the final number. So if I wasn't confident that was the final one that I had, then I've left that blank.
Okay. Now let's talk about the net proceeds, the 100, let's go into the 550 house. That's just the first one. We'll take it as an example, okay?
Okay,
So she purchased that house for $215,000, is that right?
that's right.
And she borrowed $221 initially on it,
Yes,
and she had $7,000 in closing costs.
yes,
So does that first total negative $13,800 show that the minute she closed on the house, she was $13,800 in the hole?
that's right.
And is that why it is color-coded red on your chart?
Yes,
Okay, and then she rehabbed it,
that's correct.
and she sold it. And she sold it for $404,000.
Yes,
But she had all kinds of transaction costs. She had to repay borrowed funds. She had closing costs, perhaps none on this project. And at the end of the day, when she sold it, what amount of money hit her bank account?
$145,802,
And how do you know that?
because it hit her bank account.
And can you see it in her bank account statement?
Yes,
Now, we get down to the rehab expenses for the 550 house, that column. You were able to trace $98,000 to it.
yes,
There may be more out there, but you were only able to trace $98,000 to it.
yes,
So for this project, she made, it appears, based on your conservative accounting, $47,000.
right. And I have that in gray because so much of the HELOC funds were used for this project. She bought this. She had the HELOC in March, and then she started drawing on it again when she bought this property in August of 2021. And I believe that some of those funds were, I don't want to double dip. So
Okay.
I've left it gray.
So because it's gray, she made $47,000 or less on this house.
Yeah, and I think she probably made a profit, bottom line profit on this house.
Let's turn to one more example, please, okay? Scott, can I get the Mill Creek example? Okay. make sure we all understand. She purchased, does this say that she purchased the Mill Creek house for $650,000?
Yes,
And that she borrowed 3 times right away, $721,115 and 41.
yeah, so she bought this in March, so the borrowed funds of 721 is what she borrowed out of the gate, and then the 115 came a few months later.
Okay, and how about the 41?
That was also a few months later.
So kind of equity at the time of purchase, or within a few months of purchase, she was $228,000 in the hole on this house.
Yes,
She sold it for $115,000, or sorry, $1,115,000.
that's correct.
But she had closing costs. She had to repay what she bought on it. And she had $836,000 in costs unrelated to the rehab. Is that correct?
Right, that's just the loan, and you'll notice that the repayment of borrowed funds is the same amount as the borrowed funds above.
Right.
So, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly why I did that, but that is, the interest should be on top of that. So that's a conservative amount. There should be interest payment, or interest costs.
And why did you not include the interest costs?
I can't remember. I had a reason, and I can't remember.
But your reason at bottom was it was conservative to not include them?
It was, she had to repay at least what she borrowed,
Okay.
so.
But at the end of this transaction, when it closed, how much money hit her bank account?
$32,467.43.
And were you able to trace rehab expenses to this project?
Yes,
How much did you trace to this project?
$188,000.
But there could be more that you were unable to trace.
There could be more, yeah.
There could be more out of that pot of 400,000.
This was a big project, and yes,
So at the end of the day, 32 minus the 188 left her losing $155,000 on this project,
at least that, yes,
maybe more.
yes.
Okay, Scott, let's back out of the whole shebang and go to the far right column. Okay, let's look at the numbers kind of off the page. There's 2 outlying numbers. The first is what does that 2.142 million mean?
That is her net equity in all of these projects. So I've taken, that's a horizontal sum. So negative 2.1 million that she was in the hole as soon as she purchased the projects.
Then we go down to that negative 469,000. What does that number mean?
That means again, that's a horizontal sum across all properties. What I estimate her net loss was on all those properties. Yes, net loss on all those properties.
So she lost 469,000 based on this accounting.
Right, and that doesn't include the 400,000 in additional expenses. Actually, it's 460,000 for all of the projects. So add that together, and then it also, there's no net loss that I've included in this number for the properties that were lost in foreclosure.
Okay.
Because they weren't sold.
So this is only properties that were sold. She lost 469,000 plus another 460 that you were unable to directly trace to a project. So just on properties that were sold, forgetting about properties that were foreclosed, she lost over $900,000.
That's correct.
Scott, can you go to the Barney column? Okay. I just want to show the Barney column. I think, Your Honor, this would be a good time to pause, and we can come back and address the Barney House.
Very good. Folks, let's take a break. Please rise for the jury. Ms. Carrington, you are welcome to take a walk, use the restroom. Please do not speak to anyone during the break. 20 of 11, is that agreeable, counsel?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
we'll be in recess until 10:40. Thank you. 00139. Forgive me, Ms. Nestor, the Barney House, among other things, went into foreclosure, correct?
After Ms. Richins was arrested, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And this is the house in which there was a loan from a friend that was used for a purpose different than what was represented? Is this that one?
Kind of. So originally, Kouri Richins Realty purchased the property. She ended up moving a friend in after she had purchased it. They were trying to arrange a purchase. The friend could not qualify for a loan, so they were trying to do a seller financing agreement where the friend would pay a chunk to Kouri to make up, so Kouri could pay off the hard money lenders, and then Kouri would just keep the property. They would seller finance it over time. There was a dispute right before Ms. Richins was arrested. She was holding off switching the deed to the name of the friend because there's reasons why that was. It had to do with a insurance claim on the house that was pending. But there is debate about whether or not the delay in switching the deed to the friend's name was somehow dishonest or misleading to the friend or had been misled,
Right.
That's up in the air. So if we're only looking at the Barney property for the purpose of this property profit analysis, I don't have a problem with that. If we're going to get into all of the representations that were made about the property, whether or not there was, I don't even think they're saying there was fraud, but whether there was dishonesty or any of that, then I want to have a 404B analysis. So I guess I'm just alerting everybody that this was one of the issues in my motion in limine. This was one of the issues the court said you'd probably have to hear foundation for at trial.
No, I ruled on this one specifically, but that's fine. We can raise it again.
Right. So I guess I'm just, as an abundance of caution before the jury comes back in, if we're going to get into all of that, I want to have a 404B analysis. If we're not, then I don't mind for purposes of just whether did she make a profit or loss on the property. That is irrelevant to me. I don't care about that.
Mr. Bloodworth, tell me where the state's headed with respect to the Barney property.
Your Honor, it is beyond that column of profit and loss analysis. It will go into the $45,000 down payment that Ms. Barney made on the property, tracing those funds to pay, I think it was Fund 5 payday lender.
Put differently, to pay something other than the hard money loan on the property.
Correct.
Okay. And then it eventually went into foreclosure.
It did eventually go into foreclosure. We may get there. I don't know that we will get there.
Okay. Any other detail regarding the Barney property that you tend to elicit?
Yes, Your Honor. So initially the Barney property was financed by a more traditional mortgage lender. In getting financing on the Barney property in June of 2021, Kouri Richins submitted a bank statement to the lender, purportedly from AFCU, showing a certain balance. Her bank statement from AFCU shows a different balance. C&E's bank statement from AFCU shows that first certain balance. And so it would be an exercise in admitting those three bank statements and moving on. I think that is consistent with the court's ruling. The other issue that may arise is there was an email from that hard money lender questioning Ms. Richins about her credit score in comparison to the available cash in the purported bank statement. And then in response, Kouri Richins provides an explanation of her credit score that is relevant because, well, the inquiry is relevant because the lender had noticed a disconnect between her balance and her credit score. Kouri Richins' response is relevant because she had a very different response to a different lender in response to a similar question.
Okay, so Ms. Nestor, I think it would be appropriate to give the jury a 404B instruction to the following effect, and we can have a conversation about the details here, but something to the effect of, you are about to hear evidence that defendant's representations to her lenders were not accurate before the acts charged in this case. This evidence is not admitted to prove a character trait of the defendant or to show that she acted in a manner consistent with that trait. You may consider this evidence, if at all, for the limited purpose of determining a non-character issue such as motive. Keep in mind that the defendant is on trial for the crimes charged in this case only. You may not convict the defendant simply because you believe she may have committed some other acts at some other time.
Your Honor, could you please read that very first part where you said you're about to hear, what was that?
Evidence that defendant's representations to lenders were not accurate before the acts charged in this case.
Okay, it's not just lenders, though. It's also her statements to Ms. Barney, who was her
I
tenant.
don't know that we're going to get into evidence of that, are we?
So,
I can add that to the list, that's fine. But it wasn't clear to me that the back and forth between...
The lenders and others, because part of this
Fine.
is in an email to her,
Okay.
to a banker. It's not, I mean, through her...
Lenders and others is not a problem.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I am so a visual person. May I just look at it? What you have in your hand?
It's CR 411. It is the standard Muji second 404B
No, just the very
instruction.
first part, the part that you wrote.
Representations to lenders and others were not accurate.
And then you said prior to,
The acts charged in this case.
give me just a minute.
Or around the time of the acts charged in this case. There's no science to this.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
understand.
point is the cannot consider it for the character-based purpose.
I understand.
Your Honor, let me provide more context. There is an email between Kouri Richins and Ms. Barney where, Kouri Richins explains, Ms. Barney indicates her understanding that this money is a down payment. We will get to that email with Ms. Barney, but as it relates to Ms. Carrington, the state will ask, what was your understanding of the purpose of this $45,000? Let me head off maybe a 403 cumulative objection. So I mentioned the inconsistent bank statements.
Right.
I mentioned the first set. There are 5 more in the history of this Barney home, kind of in short order before Eric Richins' death. They are not cumulative because they show an evolution between Kouri Richins and the lender of essentially the lender saying, I need to see this, Kouri Richins provides this number. And then When that doesn't get the job done, lender comes back and says, I need to see a bank statement showing this, and then Ms. Richins comes back with a bank statement showing this. So there is a relevance to the iteration that is beyond a cumulative effect.
And remind me the month and year that this is all occurring.
So, Your Honor, it begins in the summer of, kind of late summer, early fall 2021 into January 2022.
Okay. So Ms. Nestor.
Okay, so that language is fine in the instruction, but I just want to make sure the record is very, very clear that my objection is to it coming in at all, that to inject wire fraud with respect to Ms. Barney, banking fraud, wire fraud with respect to the email that she sent, banking fraud with respect to altering bank statements, all into an aggravated murder case where she is not charged with any of these counts, is significantly prejudicial. It is a significant attack on her character, offered to show action in conformity. It is irrelevant. It is 404B, and just to make sure I've made the record, 401, 403, 404B, as to all of that coming in, period.
Okay. As discussed on the record, in multiple days of motion in limine hearing, and in 2 written rulings by the court, both on defendants' motions in limine and the court's amended ruling regarding intrinsic evidence. Defendant's 404B objection to the admissibility and defendant's objection to the admissibility of this evidence under Rules 401, 02, and 03 are overruled for the reasons discussed on the record previously and written about extensively by the court. The issue before the court today is the form of a 404B instruction to be given before the evidence comes in. I think we've arrived at that form, correct, Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth, any addition there?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else before we invite the jury?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
Okay. We're ready for the jury. please have a seat as you come in. Thank you. Please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in additional instruction, please listen carefully. You are about to hear evidence that defendants' representations to lenders and other individuals and entities were not accurate during the time before the acts charged in this case. This evidence is not admitted to prove a character trait of the defendant or to show that she acted in a manner consistent with that trait. You may consider this evidence, if at all, for the limited purpose of determining defendant's motive. Keep in mind that the defendant is on trial for the crimes charged in this case and for those crimes only. You may not convict the defendant simply because you believe she may have committed some other acts at some other time. Mr. Bloodworth, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, when we left off, we had highlighted the column labeled 299/Barney. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What does 299/Barney refer to?
There's a house, the address starts with 299, and it's a house where Kouri Richins' best friend, Chelsea Barney, lived. So that's my abbreviation of that house.
And did you analyze that purchase transaction?
I did.
Are you familiar with Iron Bridge Financial?
Yes.
What is Iron Bridge?
They are a hard money lender, and they are the lender that Kouri Richins engaged for this particular property purchase.
What, ma'am, is a hard money lender?
Hard money lenders are typically it's called hard money because the terms are hard, and they're hard. The interest rates are higher than conventional loans, like from a bank or a credit union. Typically, they also have very strict default clauses. They're usually used for shorter term lending. So there will be like a specific term, usually 6 months or 12 or something. And the terms are defined at a certain interest rate. And then upon default, it's an exponential growth. You know, the default, or excuse me, the interest rate quite often will double or other terms, yeah.
And do fix and flip businesses often use hard money lenders?
They do.
Did Kouri Richins apply to Iron Bridge for a loan secured by the Barney home?
Yes.
Did you review the materials in Iron Bridge's loan file?
I did.
Scott, can I get 5-57, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is an America First Credit Union bank account statement for Kouri Richins Realty. The account 6577 for May of 2021, and this was directly from Iron Bridge in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-57.
Previous objections, Your Honor.
5-57 is admitted.
Scott, if you could kind of zoom in on the top portion. Yep. Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
So, as I said, there's the header, Kouri Richins Realty, LLC. The account number is 6577, and the statement of May 2021. And
what-
then,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry. And then in the summary section, you can see that there's 3 different accounts that are reported on this statement, and collectively at month end, the balance was $210,898.
Did you attempt to verify this bank statement?
I did.
Scott, can I have 5-29 alpha?
I think the witness can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I do now, sorry. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It is the America First Credit Union statement for K. Richins Realty from America First for the account number 6577 for May of 2021. And this was directly from the credit union pursuant to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 529A.
Same objections.
529A is admitted. Published now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Scott, if you can zoom in. Ma'am, what does this present?
This shows in the header, the K. Richins Realty LLC. This time it's using that P.O. Box 759 in Camas. This is for the account number 6577, and this is the May of 2021 statement.
And what does it show as the balance?
It shows 2 accounts, not 3, and the total at month end is $15,609.93.
Thank you, Scott. If you can swoop to 5-32B. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement for C&D Stone Masonry, which is Eric Richins' account company, and this is the May of 2021 statement that came directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
The state moves to admit 5-32B, Your Honor.
Same objection.
5-32B is admitted.
And what, ma'am, does this present?
So in the header, we can see the company is C&E Stone Masonry LLC, which is Eric Richins and his business partner's company, and their account is 7664, and this is the account statement for May of 2021.
And what is the ending balance?
The ending balance of those 3 accounts is $210,898.61.
Is it accurate then that the statement provided by the lender Ironbridge contained the header of K. Richins Realty and the account summary for C&E Stone Masonry?
That's right, and also the body of the transactions.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 2-6, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's an email string between Ironbridge and Kouri Richins, and this was from Ironbridge in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves 2-6 into evidence.
Same objection plus hearsay, Your Honor.
Let's see. Do we need the top half? Can we focus just on Kouri's? But I'm sorry, let me restate my question. Do you care about the before and after or just Kouri's statement?
Your Honor, the email, of course, reads from the bottom up.
Right.
The the state needs to admit the bottom to understand Ms. Richins', the effect on the here being
Okay.
Ms. Richins. We can redact that first line. I think it doesn't matter either way to the state.
Objection to instructing the jury that they cannot consider any of these statements other than those written by Ms. Richins for the truth.
No objection to that instruction.
Ms. Nestor.
Not to the instruction, but remain my objection to the entire document.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see an email string. Ms. Richins' portion of the email string you may consider for any purpose to whatever extent you decide. The other portions of the email string you may consider only for the effect they had upon Ms. Richins, upon the listener, not for the truth of any matter asserted in those other portions. Published 2-6.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Brittany, in case I didn't say it, 2-6 is admitted.
Scott, if you could scroll down to the bottom and enlarge that, please. Yes. And then, Scott, if you can scroll up to Ms. Richins' reply, please. Thank you, Scott. Ms. Carrington, did you analyze whether all of Kouri Richins' credit card delinquencies were paid off in July of 2021?
I did.
Were they?
No.
Scott, can I get 5-21? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the promissory note between Kouri Richins and K. Richins Realty and Iron Bridge for the purchase of this house.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-21.
Same objections.
5-21 is admitted.
Scott Wright, if you can zoom in, please, on that top portion. Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
Well, starting with the top on the right is it's called a bait stamp number. That's something that's applied after the fact. So that tells me that this came from Iron Bridge. This is then the secured promissory note between K. Richins Realty and Iron Bridge, and the loan amount, where it says principal amount, is $346,500 at a 10% interest rate. And it also tells me that this is a note that matures, means it's due on January 8th of 2022.
For context, ma'am, what at this time were traditional mortgage interest rates?
They were at those historic lows, 2.5%, 3.5% for a 30-year mortgage.
And did this loan involve a balloon payment?
It did.
So am I right then that for the 6 months term of the 6-month term of the loan, Kouri Richins did not owe any money?
This one, it was a balloon, but this one did require monthly payments.
Okay. but then everything was due on January the 8th, 2022.
That's correct. So it was started in the summer, and she had the monthly payments on it, and then she had to either refinance or pay it off by January 8th of 2022.
Thank you, Scott. Did Kouri Richins endeavor to refinance?
Yes, she did.
And did she use Excel Financial Services to try to refinance that loan?
Yes, she did.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 5-60, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's the America First bank account statement for Kouri Richins, her personal checking 5244 for July of 2021. And this is from Excel Financial and its principal, David Ige, in response to a prosecution subpoena.
The state, Your Honor, moves 5-60 into evidence.
Same objections.
5-60 is admitted.
Scott, can you blow it up? Real quick, Ms. Carrington, we're going to go through this a few times, but real
Okay.
quick.
This is America First bank account statement for Kouri Richins, her personal account 5244, July of 2021. And then the three accounts in the summary section shows that she had $694,730.15 at the month end.
Did you attempt to verify this bank statement?
I did.
5-35A, please, Scott. Ma'am, do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
This is directly from America First Credit Union for Kouri Richins, her personal account 5244 in August of 2021 in response to a prosecution subpoena.
State moves to admit 5-35A.
Same objections.
5-35A is admitted.
Scott, if you could enlarge it, please.
It's enlarged.
Oh. Doubly enlarged. Ma'am, what does this present?
That this is Kouri Richins' account using that P.O. Box 759, the account number 5244, which is that personal checking account, August of 2021, and the total of the two accounts is $1,893.94 at the end of the month.
Scott, can you bring up 5-32A, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the American First Credit Union account for C&E Stone Masonry, the account 7664, January of 2021, that came directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves 5-32A into evidence.
Same objections.
5-32A is admitted.
Ma'am, what does this present?
So this is from the credit union, C&D Stone Masonry's account 7664 in January of 2021. And there are three accounts collectively at month end, $694,730.15.
Thank you, Scott. Can you please bring up Exhibit 2-7, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is a document in response to the subpoena from Excel Financial Services and its principal, David Ige, in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves Exhibit 2-7 into evidence.
Same objections, Your Honor.
Would you approach for a minute? Moving to admit 2-7.
Yes, Your Honor.
States 2-7 is admitted. One moment, please.
Ma'am, I'm sorry again, was this information that came from Excel Financial Services and its principal, David Ige?
Yes.
Scott, if you could enlarge the bio portion of, thank you. Ms. Carrington, did you analyze Kouri Richins' finances to determine if she employed anyone, and if so, how many employees she had?
Yes.
How many employees did she have?
I don't know how many employees, but the payroll expenses that appear in her bank account statements are in the neighborhood of like $1,500 or $2,500. They're not consistent. So I don't know how many, but it's a very low number.
When you say her payroll expenses are, what did you say, 1,500?
Some of them are $1,500 or in the neighborhood of $2,000 or $2,500. They're not consistent.
Okay. And is it, call it 1,500 to 2,500 weekly, biweekly, monthly?
No, they're occasional, they're periodic, and nothing that would rise to the level of paying, I don't think, paying over 100 people.
Would it rise to the level of paying over 3 people?
Depends on how much they're making.
In your analysis, did you find any evidence that Kouri Richins profited $1 million on any 5 of her deals combined?
No.
Thank you, Scott. Can we get, please, Exhibit 4-5? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the operating agreement for K. Richins Realty dated June 7th, 2021, and this is from Excel and Mr. Ige in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves Exhibit 4-5 into evidence.
Same objections.
4-5 is admitted.
Your Honor, before we publish, well,
My apologies.
that page doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, Scott, can you scroll down one page? 2 pages? 3 pages? 4 pages? Your Honor, stop there. Article 4 is, that's the relevancy.
Okay. I may be missing a nuance here. Ms. Nestor, anything, folks, I apologize. In an abundance of caution, please approach the bench for a moment.
Publish, Your Honor.
Now.
Actually, Scott, can you bring us back to the front?
Go ahead, Mr. Bloodworth.
Ms. Carrington, what is this document?
This is the operating agreement of K. Richins Realty dated June 7th of 2021, and this was provided by Excel Financial and David Ige in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Scott, if you could scroll down, please, to Article 4. Thank you. Scott, if you could bring up 5-61, please. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the America First Credit Union statement for Kouri Richins, the account 5244 for September 2021 that was sent by Excel Financial and Mr. Ige in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-61.
Same objections.
5-61 is admitted.
Ma'am, what information does that present?
It's an America First Credit Union statement. It says Kouri Richins in the header for September 2021 for the personal account 5244. And in the summary section, those three accounts collectively at the end of September were $169,442.28.
Did you attempt to verify this statement?
I did.
Scott, can you bring up 5-35B? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement for Kouri Richins, her account 5244 for October 2021. This came directly from the credit union. And then if you look in the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This came from, in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
State moves to admit 5-35B.
Same objections.
5-35B is admitted.
Scott, 5-32D. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement from the credit union of C and E Stonemasonry, account 7664 in September 2001, directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
State moves to admit 5-32D.
Same objections.
Can-
5-32D is admitted.
Scott, if you could zoom in. Ma'am, what does this present?
That for the account for C and E Stonemasonry, the account 7664 in September 2021, the three accounts collectively were $169,442.28.
Thank you. Scott, can you bring up 5-62? Scott, can you bring up can you take 562 down? Can you bring up 5-29D, split screened with 5-29C? Ma'am, do these documents follow the same pattern we've just discussed?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, the state moves 562D, 529D, and 529C into evidence.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Was it 562 or 562D?
I don't know what
It's just 562.
Would
I
you
don't
like to
know.
see that again, Ms. Nestor?
Yes, so same objections to 529C and 529D. I don't remember seeing 562, so if we could just put that up for a second.
Sure.
Same objections.
Okay. 5-62 and 5-29D and -29C are admitted.
Okay, Your Honor, we're not going to publish them. I
Understood.
think everybody understands.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up another set of three. Scott, if you could start with 524.
Would you pause for 1 second? Do you need a moment? Do you need any clarification? Correct. Correct. Okay. Would you say the number again?
5-24.
The witness hasn't. At least I think you do.
I do have
Okay.
I'm tracking wrong. I'm tracking the wrong exhibit number, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's all right.
That's not what's on my, okay. Hold on, I had a screen problem.
Do we need to do something to help you?
No, I think we're good now.
Okay. The page that I'm seeing and the witness is seeing doesn't have a sticker on it. Can we go back to page 1 so I can make sure? 5-24, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And I apologize, Scott. I go back to wherever Mr. Bloodworth wanted you to be.
That's page 149. So, Scott, can you please bring up 5-29E? And then 5-32E. Ma'am, do those documents follow the same pattern you've just testified to?
They do.
Your Honor, the statement was 524, 529E, and 532E into evidence.
Same objections.
524, 529E, and 532E are admitted.
The Bates number I'm interested, that's that number at the top for the 524s. The Bates number ending in 149. Scott, can you bring up 5-29F and 5-32F? Ma'am, do those two documents, along with 524 at page 152, follow the same pattern that you've just testified to?
They do.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last thing. 529F, 532F, and what?
Exhibit 5-24 that we just admitted, but page 152.
Same objections.
Okay, 5-29F and 532F are admitted.
Ma'am, I want to ask you now about a $45,000 set of wire transfers related to the Barney home. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
What is your understanding of the purpose of those wire transfers?
Those were in January of 2022 from Chelsea Barney to Kouri Richins for the purpose of a down payment to buy the 299 Barney house.
So was the down payment?
Objection to speculation about what it was for and hearsay. Move to strike.
Sustained. Lay some foundation, Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, or Scott, can you bring up Exhibit 2-19DR?
Would you mind blowing it up, Scott? I can't read the text.
There's several pages, Your Honor. And just so the court knows where I'm going, I'll just move to admit it.
Okay. Same objection to this exhibit, Your Honor, that we've already, same objections.
403 and 404B?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those objections are respectfully overruled. Forgive me, this was a long number. Would you go back to page 1?
Yes.
States Exhibit 2-19D-R is admitted. Did this witness see this document?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Okay, take it from there.
And just, I think the court is aware, but the labeling 2-19 is the exhibit number. D means it's a demonstrative. R means it's redacted. Ms. Carrington, have you seen this document before?
I have, yes.
Your Honor, can the court publish it to the jury?
Yes.
Scott, if you could just slowly, please walk the jury down the text string. Ma'am, is this a text string between Chelsea Barney and Kouri Richins?
That's my understanding, yes.
And Kouri Richins is in blue, right, at the 1987 number?
I believe so, yes.
we can stop it there. Thank you. That text exchange mentioned a $45,000 down payment. Did you trace those two wires?
Yes, I did.
Scott, if you could bring up 5-29G at Bates 794. Your Honor, this has already been admitted.
D or G?
G.
Is that correct, Brittany? Okay. Go ahead.
Ms. Carrington, what is this again?
This is the K. Richins Realty account statement 6577 for January of 2022 from America First Credit Union.
And when you trace those two wires totaling $45,000, did they land in this account?
Yes, they did.
Can you please show us where?
Sure. Scott, can we do let's see, it's the middle. We need to go down a little bit to like the 11th. The 12th, like the 11th and 12th. Yes, thank you. So you can see on the 12th, the $26,700 coming in. And then if you go down a few other lines, also on the 12th, down a little bit more right there, that bank-to-bank transfer, that's $18,300 coming into the account. Those are those two wires from Chelsea Barney.
And Scott, if you can move it to the left. At the time they hit the account, what was the account's balance?
It was in the negative $1,996.68.
Did you then trace the funds from this account?
I did.
Can you please show us what happened to that money?
Well, the majority of it, well, a lot of it, almost half, went to the family account, the $19,299 on the 12th, that middle transaction. That went to the family account, the 2204, that says Eric Richins. That's the joint checking account that Eric and Kouri Richins used for family expenses.
Your Honor, can we just have a continuing objection to this whole line on the same grounds?
Please proceed, Mr. Bloodworth.
And then also there were she paid debt payments.
Okay, so the $19,300 went out. And then how long did it take her to deplete the rest of that $45,000?
Well, we have to account for another $9,000 that came into the account, but it was gone within a few days.
Did any of it go to a mortgage on the Barney home?
No.
What did it go to?
The transaction that's highlighted, the $19,299, that is the same amount that was paid to FundFi, which is one of Kouri Richins' payday lenders.
So that money went from this KRR account to the personal joint account, and
That's
then
correct.
to FundFi to pay off debt.
The part of that's true. So this amount on January 12th went to the family account. And if we go to the family account, you can see right before this payment had been made. So this money going back to the family account replenishes that exact amount.
Let's do that. Let's go to 5-33A. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
What is that?
This is the America First Credit Union statement of the family account 2204 of February of 2022, which includes the January 22 transactions, and this is in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-33A.
Same objections.
533A is admitted.
Can you show us on this account that 19,299 transaction you were just referencing?
Yes, Scott, I think it's on the second page, yes. Thank you. So you can see on January 10th, a bank-to-bank transfer of $19,299. So that came out of the family account. And I know from tracing this, that went to Fund 5 for Kouri Richins.
And Fund 5 was one of her payday lenders?
Yes.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 5-30, please? Do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the information from America First Credit Union that details the incoming wire, or the outgoing wire, and it was returned in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-30.
Same objections.
5-30 is admitted.
And what information does this present?
This tells us the date at the top left, January 10th, 22. It tells us the amount, that is $19,299 there on the left. And in the middle column, it tells us that it came from the account 2204-9, but 2204. That's the family account. On the right column, it tells us the beneficiary, who's the receiver of the wire, is Fundify Merchant Funding. And then if you go down to the bottom, so the originator is the person who sends the wire, the beneficiary is the one who receives it. So this is instructions or notations from Kouri Richins, or someone who sent this, to pay off K. Richins. That's the instruction.
Let's go back to the loans for a minute. You had testified earlier that that Iron Bridge loan became due on January the 8th, 2022. Is that right?
That's right.
Did Ms. Richins make that balloon payment to satisfy that loan on January the 8th?
No, she did not.
What happened?
She extended that loan for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. She extended the loan, giving her more time to pay it.
And during that time, was she trying to get a new loan from Excel Financial?
That's true, yes.
Why did she submit so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Check to speculation.
Did you review her correspondence with Excel Financial?
I did.
Did that correspondence explain why she submitted so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Yes.
Why did she submit so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Well, initially, the loan was in her name, just Kouri Richins at K. Richins Realty, and she had some bank account statements were submitted for that. And then as the underwriting process went forward, they asked for a co-signer. And so that's when the operating agreement that now showed Doreen Kouri with some ownership of K. Richins Realty, when that was submitted, and also bank account statements were submitted for that. And then another stage where they needed to show a specific amount in a bank account statement in order to close. And the loan then became Doreen Kouri's loan as the principal of K. Richins Realty.
Did K. Richins Realty ever enter into a financing agreement with Excel?
No.
What then happened with the Iron Bridge loan once it was extended once?
It remained unpaid, and it was extended again to March 8th, 2022.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, this may be a good point to break.
Any objection, Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
12:40 reasonable, Mr. Bloodworth?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, normal instructions. Please don't talk about the case. You'll have access to your devices, and so please be careful to not read, watch, or listen to any report about the case from any source. Please don't do any research about the case. You're welcome to talk to each other about all kinds of other things, but not this case. Please rise for the jury. Have a seat, folks. Thank you. Mr. Bloodworth, anything else on the record before we break for lunch?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
Ms. Carrington, please don't consult with anyone regarding your testimony during the lunch break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back at 12:40. Court's in recess. Thank you.